Hello, folks. This is Bob Safale, and I'm very, very excited. I mean, this may be in my top three webinars to date for what you're going to hear, but I want to make sure you, in fact, can hear. So why don't you go ahead and you're going to see on the upper right-hand side of your screen a little hand. I want you to click on the hand if you can hear me clearly. So everybody click on your hand. If you can hear me clearly. Can y'all hear me? Okay, there we go. I see some hands flicking away. All right. Anybody else? Can you hear me clearly? Anybody else? Okay, I see some more. Hey, Scott, how you doing? We got two Scotts, but this is fantastic. So this is actually a very, very special event tonight. This is a special webinar because you're going to learn about really what I would call the big breakthrough in digital currency today. And in order to do that properly, of course, I had to make sure that we had the founder of Cloudcoin, who is the really the creator of the whole Cloudcoin concept. And I just want to go ahead and say hello to Sean Worthington. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing excellent. Thanks for having me.
Oh, I tell you, you should see the reaction. I'm getting emails flying in. Hey, I'm not going to be able to be there for the live webinar, and oh, please send me the recording. And the amount of people emailing me is extraordinary. They've been coming in every couple minutes.
Wow.
I know, I know, it's fantastic. So as everybody knows, Sean, what we do, what we try to do with these webinars, Sean, is we try to talk about two things. We talk about the trends that are happening in the cryptocurrency world. And what I mean by trends, I try to look at 7-day trends, which sounds awful short. I look at 30-day trends, and then I do go out as far as 90 days. Honestly, to go farther out than that, as it's almost throwing darts at a board, wouldn't you say?
hmm Yeah, it's definitely difficult.
Exactly. And and the other thing we do is we talk about tech developments. And tonight, what we really want to talk about is what's happening with the underlying patented, and that's patent pending technology that underlies Cloudcoin. And I think, Sean, and I have a whole series of questions because I really want to walk through what exactly is happening in the world of cryptocurrencies and how how does Cloudcoin underlying technology, which is known as RADA, how does that fit in? So my first question to you, and take your time. You know, we got plenty of time, Sean. Can you explain to the audience kind of an overview of the current blockchain technology, and if you can kind of explain how it works, and then let's talk about its weaknesses, which there are many. Let's start there. Does that make sense?
Sure. And so human beings have been trying to create digital currencies for decades. And in fact, in the 1990s, we had something called e-gold, and everybody put their gold into a vault, and they issued digital certificates against it. And then the state of California broke in and took all the gold and just shut down the system. And so we've had this problem called the physical integrity problem of digital money. And Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies with their blockchain technology were the first ones to be able to solve this physical integrity problem so that the government couldn't just come and shut things down. And for the most part, hackers couldn't just come and hack it, and counterfeiters couldn't come and just make millions of copies of it.
And how do they do that? I mean, what was the big breakthrough in addressing physical integrity? Because folks, that phrase, physical integrity, and overall the word integrity is going to be something you hear from Sean quite a bit. Sean, can you explain what was the big breakthrough?
So the breakthrough was the invention of a database, which I call a super base. It's called the blockchain. And the reason why I call it a super base is it's different than other databases because, first of all, it doesn't belong to any individual or any company or any government. This database belongs to the human superorganism, and so I call it a super base. Also, this super base cannot be destroyed by governments or by hackers. You could even drop nuclear bombs on the blockchain nodes, and the blockchain would still survive because it's a global system. And so it has what I call supremacy. And that means that nobody's going to shut it down. And it turns out that those characteristics are very good for digital currencies. And in fact, there's only two other databases and technologies like that out there. One is called the DNS system, and we use that thousands of times every day. I can talk about that later. And the other one is the RADA that I've created. But the way that the blockchain works is it creates a data store that I can write to, or we can all write to transactions to. It records transactions, and we can read all those transactions. And so that allows us to look at the transactions that have happened, and we can see how money has changed hands from person to person, and we can see who at the end of the chain, who actually owns that money. And to make sure that nobody deletes the transactions or tries to change the transactions or say that they have money that they don't, we're going to take that database and make it so that you cannot delete from it. You cannot change it. It's going to be what's called unmutable. You can't mutate it. And we're going to make sure that those rules are enforced by making copies, thousands of copies of the blockchain on all kinds of servers all over the world. And if I was to go to my blockchain and then make some changes to it, everybody would see that, hey, I'm just faking it. I'm just a cheater, and I would be kicked out of the ring, so to speak, and nobody would listen to me. They would know that I was a fake.
Interesting, huh? That's so in effect, every single Bitcoin literally has the entire history of the coin itself, all the transactions, everything on that coin. Did I get that right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. In fact, I set up a cryptocurrency wallet the other day, and I received some cryptocurrency. And I clicked on the person's name, and I could see every single transaction that they had ever did. And in
Oh my
fact,
God.
it's possible to, if I do business with somebody, I can get their name, and then I can create programs that follow them around and monitor what they're doing, who they're trading with. And so the blockchain is now, for the Bitcoin, it's 165 gigabytes, and it grows and grows and grows. Ethereum is like a terabyte. They're getting so big they don't even fit on hard drives, and they're supposed to keep growing and growing and growing forever. And so that's something that's just not going to work in the long run.
Well, let me ask you. You said something that actually I was not aware of, and you could actually peer in to the specifics of what a individual had used their bitcoins for, their transactions. Let me ask you this. I know in the news in the last 4 or 5 months, there are millions and millions of people who kind of freaked out when they heard about Facebook and how Facebook was essentially data mining all of their followers and selling the data. I mean, is it possible for data companies to be able to start peering into Bitcoin users and start building their own data targeting?
Absolutely. And so what they need to do to specifically target is to link somebody's name account name with their account number. If they can do that, then they can really just pretty much own you, know how much money you have for now and for in the future, who you trade with, and it's very it's so unprivate that it's really just not going to work. I mean, that's, as you know, I've got Cloudcoin, and Cloudcoin is 100% private. It does not have track any transactions. It does not require user accounts or logins.
Yeah, and well, I don't want you to jump the lead.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I kind of identified what I thought were three problematic areas. One is an obvious one, which is the transaction speed. With all that, with the ever growing blockchain, how does that defeat Cloudcoin's ultimate supremacy in the retail market? Because I'm ultimately where we all want to go is we want a currency we're betting on. We want it to be a prime player in small ticket retail. So could you talk about that?
Sure. And so you've got all of these 7,000, let's say 7,000 Bitcoin servers out there, and they have to converge, which means that if I make a transaction on one, that transaction then has to be synchronized or recorded on all the other servers. And so that means I've got to send my transaction to my server, and then my server sends it to someone else, and then that one sends it to another one. And it goes one by one by one, and every time it goes, they have to solve these encrypted puzzles. And by the time that they converge, well, it takes a long time. It makes it so that they can only handle 7 transactions per second,
Oh my
which
God, that's
for a
ridiculous.
global currency is just impossible.
So, as an example, how many transactions per second is Cloudcoin capable of because it's sitting on top of the RADA technology?
Well, we have achieved over 28,000 transactions per second in just tests. And we think that with better servers, we could actually do like 8 million transactions per second. So we think that we could do like the entire global population. And the reason is because our protocol is so simple and what we're doing is very simple.
Interesting, interesting. So here's the second area I think is going to be a problem ultimately because when just so everybody understands, if you take a look at virtually every major technology breakthrough in over the centuries, what will typically happen is you're the first company in isn't necessarily the big winner. Examples of that are, Sony versus Betamax. Or, I mean, I could just go on. MySpace got overrun by Facebook. I
Yeah,
could,
that has a name, by the way. That's called first mover and second mover. So
right.
the first
Oh, yeah,
mover,
exactly. And usually it's the second mover is the one that ends up, second mover doesn't mean necessarily the second company. It could be the second phase of a particular, industry as an example.
second technology, yes.
Yeah, exactly. And
Dominates usually.
what what I saw as the next problem is the massive energy needs of Bitcoin. I mean, right now, Iceland happens to be the biggest Bitcoin miners. And by the way, folks, everybody hears about the term miners. These are folks that mine or, in essence, produce Bitcoins. Okay, but that's not the only thing they do. Their second and possibly most important responsibility is the validation of each transaction, as Sean just described. So a miner has two roles: make coins and then verify transactions. And in Iceland, that's like, I think, Sean, isn't that the number one place for miners on the planet because of the cheap costs of what is
Absolutely.
it? What type of energy? I think they've got the
Geothermal. Yeah, geothermal.
geothermal energy, right?
Yeah.
So tell me about the energy problem with cloud with Bitcoin.
Well, Bitcoin uses a tremendous amount of electricity to do each transaction because these transactions have to be processed by thousands of servers, and they all involve taking this blockchain, decrypting it, encrypting it, making sure that the hashes are all correct, and then making some guesses. And this encryption requires a lot of processor cycles, which generate a lot of heat, and then you have to cool that. So you need to have electricity for air conditioning to cool that off, unless you're in Iceland, which is going to be cheaper. But it takes the same electricity to run the blockchain as it does to run 826 American homes. And so that's almost a million people, their homes that the blockchain is using. And the blockchain is
800,
just using, yeah,
826,000 homes.
yes, that's right.
So obviously it's just going to get. And right now there's only there's well, I say only there's, I think now 26 million people now have wallets out of 7 billion people. So you have 26 million people with wallets. And obviously, when you to even hit 1 billion, you need 50 times the number of wallets there are now. So that means, I mean, right now that could mean it would take 50 million homes worth of electricity. I mean, folks, the bottom line is the energy consumption impact. I just don't see as workable down the
It's
line.
absolutely impossible. I mean, you could not run a global currency on Bitcoin, which everybody's buying Pepsis and you know with it. They just couldn't do it.
Exactly. Now, the last thing in the last area of weakness, and certainly when Sean and Sean had a tremendous. I mean, holy mackerel, Sean was one of the major speakers at the Freedom Fest. I mean, we certainly learned, as an example, that anonymity is an important thing. Could you talk about that?
Absolutely. There's something that I call blockchain socialism, and this is where the government could possibly create their own cryptocurrency and give everybody an account on it, and then be able to know exactly how much money you have and how much money you spend and when and where, even your GPS location. And they can even create these algorithms that just take your money and give it to other people. And of course, that's an advanced form of socialism, which just does not work. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because if you want to buy and sell things, imagine that you want to buy and sell real estate, and everybody knows how much money you're spending and how much money you're making in your rents or whatever like that, or just any kind of market. If people can track what you're doing, like you're posting it on Facebook or something, everybody can read it, it's going to make it impossible for you to do any kind of business.
Uh, and I, it was amazing how many people were coming up to the Cloudcoin booth and asking about the trackability. I mean, there are so many people talking about how they thought Bitcoin was developed by the NSA. It was amazing. I mean, I heard that. I can't help
Yes,
telling you how many times I heard about that. So, what I'd like to do right now is I would like to have everybody understand right now how CloudCoin works, particularly in relation to the RADA.
sure. So the RADA is a bunch of clouds and servers that do the same thing. And what makes them unique is that they're all separate and they're all different and they're all run by different people. But it's actually it's a new system. It's the first time it's ever been done. But it's like normally, if I was going to log in to prove who I am, I would have a username and password, and I would go to one server that's got one database, and then it would let me into the website. But with the RADA, it's 25 different servers or 25 different clouds, and you've got 25 different passwords, and there's 25 different sets of data, and they're all run by different people. And we have to basically log in parallel. This is the first time this has ever been done, to 25 different servers all at once, and we then can get this back and figure out whether that thing is really real or not. And this makes it possible for the government to take over one of these servers, or the hackers to hack into them. We could actually lose large amounts of them, and we could set up other ones. And because of this self-healing protocol that I call triple Kerberos, we can then rebuild the servers, because all of the data is actually held in the cloud coins themselves. And these servers build trust relationships, and they can repair from lost RADA. Now,
So I was just going to say, so you're what you said is, if I can break this down simply put, you said, why am I looking into a Bitcoin that tells me all these millions of transactions? Why don't I have a system that merely makes sure that each coin is not counterfeited? That way you don't have to get into what's the background of the person, how many who they do business with, what they buy, all that. And it's a very speedy transaction, isn't it?
yeah, in fact, it's probably the fastest that's human possible. And so what happens is that I've got a cloud coin. It's a JPEG image or some kind of file, and it's got 25 different authenticity numbers in there. And it's also got a serial number. And so what I do is I want to buy something from you, so I give you the file. Now we both have these numbers. and anybody that has the numbers can change them so that you can go out to the RADA all in parallel, these 25 different servers. You can just, it's basically what's called an update command. You say update serial number 5, where password equals password number 1, and change that to password number 2. And the database will look at that, see if that is good, and then it will just return a pass or fail. And that does not require any encryption, well, it's not the encryption that cryptocurrencies use. It doesn't require very much hard drive space. We can run everything out of RAM, and we can do things in just a split second, nanoseconds, much, much, much faster.
It's like handing your passport to 25 different customs enforcement agents, and they go, okay, that person's real.
That's right. It's like getting confirmation from 25, and if one of the guys doesn't show up for work that day, well, you only have 24, but it still works.
Now, let me ask you this, Sean, and obviously, because of the speed of the transaction, ultimately, something using the type of technology like RADA, I can only imagine they're going to be the big winners in the retail space in terms of using digital currency. And I'm talking about people have to understand in Africa alone, in Africa, there are almost a half a billion unbanked people. These are people who can't get a bank account. So the only way they can do micropayments and any type of banking at all is they have to use their cell phone. And by the way, cell phones are all over Africa. And this is the same for India. This is the same for sections of China. So in terms of how Cloudcoin operates with and the underlying technology with RADA, I mean, that's perfect for the unbanked, is it not?
It's absolutely perfect for everything. In fact, I mean, before Cloudcoin came the theory of perfect money, and we figured out how money should be, and we designed Cloudcoin so that it would be better than every single currency, whether we're talking about gold, silver, the U.S. Federal Reserve note, the euro, you name it, Bitcoin. Cloudcoin is based, it's designed to be much better, and it uses much less energy. It's much more efficient than all the other currencies. It's very portable. You, of course, have to have the internet, and you have to have some kind of cell phone or some kind of device to really make it work. But we just think it's going to be the most safest, most theft resistant, the most loss resistant, and the fastest and the best that there is.
Okay, and that makes a lot of sense. So just in summary, you have the RADA. Right now, you have 25 different clouds, and that allows for infinitely fast transactions that are hunting down counterfeiting, not looking into the background of every single coin and who used the coin. Ultimately, and we're going to get into the RADA technology itself. Do you see the RADA network getting bigger and bigger and bigger?
Well, the RADA network is getting bigger and bigger, but what's happening is that the back end is getting what's called sharded. And that means that we've got these servers and they're being divided into 2 different servers or 3 different servers or 32, as much as 32 different servers. So the RADA is designed so that it will be 800 clouds actually when it is all built out. And every little piece is in charge of a small part of the data.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So here's what this is what one of the things that Sean has been working on is he now has patent pending on this technology. Was that about 18 months ago, 16 months ago that you got your patent pending on this, Sean?
I want to say 14 months ago.
14? Good.
Yes.
Good. Excellent. And just so you understand, folks, the digital world or this crypto world or digital currency world is very, 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 very new. So Sean was very, very forward looking when he put that flag in the ground and got his patent pending. I mean, because you should understand, back when he did what he did 14 months ago, the number of patents filed at that time even in the blockchain space was very, very small. And within this subspace of technologies, I don't know if I don't was Sean, to your knowledge, was there any type of company 14 months ago that was addressing digital currencies using a counterfeiting solution, anti-counterfeiting?
Absolutely not. And so we did, of course, our background checks when we did the patent, and there wasn't, I mean, there was uh, counterfeit detection systems for baseball cards and a few other things. Those systems are very different than what I've got. But there was no patents for digital currencies that I could find at all. So this is quite unique.
That's fantastic. And once again, one of the reasons I'm going over this in such detail is because we have quite a few people who have cloud coins, obviously in the audience right now, and who will see these recordings. And we want to let a lot of effort right now, a ton of effort right now, is to continue to optimize and develop into the future the underlying technology. I can't stress that enough. The RADA, and I remember my wife telling me when we first met Sean, she said to me, and she's a super adopter. She's like an early adopter times 10, and she looked straight at me. I remember the day she listened to the video and read the information. She looked at me and said, "The technology is the thing." I went, "Okay."
Absolutely.
I was like, "Okay, I get it." So Sean has just set up a brand new LLC, and I want to address just some of the things that are part of the LLC, and one of them, and it's actually Sean. It's really the first customer of the new company that owns the RADA, and excuse me, the patent, uh, is Celebrium. Celebrium is the first company that is a customer, and the Celebrium digital collectible, its underlying technology is the RADA. And right now I can tell you, unlike unlike brand new, unlike many coins that are trading at one level, the Celebrium right now, they are being bought at between $15 and $20 per unit, and our royalty agreement with Sean's new technology company is I think a very good partnership. Wouldn't you say, Sean?
Absolutely. And what you're doing with Celebrium is just the the first glimpses at the technology. I
Gi-
think that
gi- gi- Give me some examples. I mean, we've got Celebrium that we've been working on with you for about, I don't know, about 6 months, just really, really working. Can you, like, for instance, how does BitShares and EOS, how do they play in with RADA and the new company?
well, BitShares folks and EOS folks are interested in Cloudcoin because Cloudcoin is 100% private, and so that is a big plus that Cloudcoin just dominates. But also, the Cloudcoin separates the logic from the data, and so with things like Ethereum and EOS, all of the data and logic are all mixed together. I mean, they are with the blockchain just as well, but especially with these EOS, Ethereum types where they've got programming languages that go with them. And because we separate the data from the logic, we can actually import cloud coins into EOS or Ethereum. So you could actually have the data, the cloud coins inside, and that allows us then to make certain things private. And we really don't even know what the possibilities are, but it, being able to permanently record something and have the ability to go private at the same time allows us to have accounting systems when we want them and not to have accounting systems when we don't want them. And so there's a lot of potential there.
And correct me if I saw an announcement, I think last week, that you now Stan Larimer, obviously one of the founders of BitShares, and his son runs EOS. He was saying that they were literally hours from getting the first transactions done. What happened last week? It was big news. I mean, Stan was sure excited.
Well, we certainly did get our first transaction on uh, BitShares, and today I was able to do it programmatically, which means do it by writing scripts. And so hopefully within the next week, we can have a website up that allows people to exchange their cloud coins into what I call BitShares Cloudcoin tokens. And that allows them to go on the BitShares exchange and buy other tokens, and they can take those tokens and cash out of them. But it
And
also,
and that's Stan was saying that. I mean, on the BitShares, tell me if I'm wrong. BitShares has Bitcoin and Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash and all those, correct?
that's right. And it's got much more than that. It's got gold and silver and the Chinese yuan. I guess the Chinese yuan is a really big thing on that exchange.
Really,
Yeah.
really, wow.
Because there's people in China that have figured out how to quickly exchange the Chinese yuan for BitShares and back. And the Chinese really.
Oh, I just realized what you're talking about. Interesting. Sorry to,
Oh, no
I'm
problem.
I went, oh, because we actually had a big Chinese businessman who wanted to buy a lot of cloud coins, but they have this, and this is about, I'm going to say 8 months ago, and the Chinese are restricted to investment of at about $10,000, I believe, at cash out of the country. So you're saying that people have now worked through and they are trading yuan or whatever the heck it is, yuan or whatever
Yuan.
on the BitShares platform.
Yes.
Oh,
And I don't know all the details about that because I'm new to it myself, but that's what I see happening.
interesting. So one other thing, so you know, and this is why it's so important to hear what the underlying technology Rada, why BitShares. This is important for you to hear, and I'm going to say it again because Stan talked about it last week. BitShares and EOS combined handle 90% of blockchain transactions worldwide.
Yep.
90%. So if there is any two companies that have a vested interest in utilizing the rated technology and in getting involved with Cloudcoin, it's got to be these guys.
Absolutely. And so it's no surprise, I think, that we're beginning to have a relationship and we're spending lots of time together.
I bet you were you just down there? Was that a week, a couple days ago, or something like that?
Yeah, Stan invited me to go golfing
Golfing.
in San Diego. It was actually something called a Masterminds Conference of Cryptocurrency People. So there was lots of, I guess you could say, the movers and shakers in the crypto world at that golf tournament. Wow, what a tournament it was.
I bet you. I could only imagine. That was the first time you played golf. I think you told me.
It was, yes.
I can't imagine how many golf balls you lost. At any rate,
A lot.
well, let me. I was looking at the potential. You know, when you have RADA and its technology, I was kind of going, what are the different income channels? And tell me if I was kind of writing on a napkin. Uh, Clearly, you have things like licensing royalties and transactional fees, like with Celebrium. That's obvious, right? Boom.
Yeah.
There's another category which I don't know if this is something that can happen in the future. You can tell me, Sean. There a hundreds of billions of dollar category is called software as a service, SaaS.
Yes.
And that's where small, medium, and large businesses don't go out and buy the software and try to incorporate it in their business. They literally subscribe to access to the software and they pay monthly subscription fees so they don't have to reinvent the wheel and they don't have to pay a king's ransom up front to basically optimize their company. Is SaaS or software as a service, is that something you think RADA will have a part to play with in the future?
I absolutely think yes, because everybody's using encryption and everybody's getting ripped off. They've got
Oh,
this private key that they depend on, and of course you've heard about Bitcoin thefts all the time, and still we've got all this hacking going on, and so this encryption that we're using for security has this just systemic risk, which is this, if you've got this private key, you've got to guard it, so you got to make a copy of it. But once you make a copy of it, now it's more likely that somebody's going to steal it. And if you lose it, then you lose everything. And so we've got a system that is going to make it so that you can lose it and still get it back, which means that you don't have to worry about trying to back it up all the time to save yourself. And we could also make it so that I think that we can make it so it's impossible to hack. And we can create systems that once and for all stop the hackers and put them all out of business.
well, that's I'll tell you what, you should sell that to some political parties. Um,
Yeah,
so the second another one I noted this down is I can only imagine there are going to be opportunities for what are called white label projects. That's where the underlying technology is RADA, but the company itself has their own branding on it. Is that something that's a potential play in the future?
absolutely. And so, for example, suppose that the United States of America spends 800 million each year printing up the Federal Reserve note. And so, if they wanted to pay us 100 million for that, I'd probably want to do it. as
That's
long as
great.
it's good and decent. Uh, and certainly, what we can also do is we can create microcurrencies in which you want to create your own uh, Cloudcoin run. Or you just want to take a bunch of cloud coins and brand them so that they're your money. That's going to be very easy to do, and we can kind of think of it
Whoa.
as advertising.
Whoa. Stop.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, I have been seeing, because I watch the news feeds constantly regarding crypto, and I've been seeing small country after small country after small country, and even within countries, within districts, counties, states, but mainly countries that have been looking to have some type of secondary currency. Does that mean that potentially in the future, RADA could be working with countries?
Absolutely. I mean, if we're the best technology in the world and we're going to save a country like the United States 700 million a year, and give them a currency that cannot be counterfeited and that trades instantly all over the world, you'd think that they'd be very interested in that, especially if people don't want to use the Federal Reserve notes, they want to use some kind of digital money. In that
Well,
case,
I mean, how about a country like Venezuela that's undergoing hyperinflation right now? I mean,
absolutely. In fact, we don't even have to do business with the governments. We can just do business with the Chamber of Commerce or the university system or uh, businesses because the governments are not necessary for a currency.
oh, interesting. So would that, I mean, there are barter organizations that are worldwide that have millions of people in their barter organizations. It seems to me, rather than using their barter dollars, they would use the RADA to make a much more secure barter dollar that maybe could be used outside of their ecosystem, eh?
Yes, and so that is absolutely 100% possible. And uh, we could also do other things like stocks and bonds and uh, certificates of ownership of any kind.
Right. And I know with Cloudcoin, you already have a deal in place, and I don't know if it's you started trading yet, but you have a deal in place with a very large retail outlet, a big online retail group which has thousands and thousands of products. Which company is that?
So that's xyzbuys.com, and we've been working with them for the past, uh, I think, 3 months. And unfortunately, we upgraded our server software right in the middle. We decided that we didn't like the server software, we wanted to upgrade it, and that caused the project to slow down. But we're uh, we're right on track. We have got a meeting with them tomorrow, and everything's going wonderful.
That's fantastic. Well, folks, I know Sean. We could talk for for probably another hour or two. We're running up against our break, but I got to tell you, would you have any issue coming back on again in the next few weeks to kind of give us A, updates on what's happening with BitShares, but B, kind of talking about, well, I call it the new the new company. Would that be something that would be you could do in the next? I know you're busier than a one-arm paper hanger.
I would absolutely love to come back anytime, Bob.
That's great. And folks, I want to tell you this: if I'm assembling information on what's happening with the new with the new company, if anybody's interested in getting some of the information on what we're doing, particularly if you're Cloudcoin owners you need to email me at bob at digitalcurrencygrowth.com. Bob at digitalcurrencygrowth.com. I've literally had, since I posted that we were going to have this webinar in the first place, I have been deluged by responses. People going, what the heck? Let me know what's happening. So I am going to put together some type of meaningful information, and we're going to be making some pretty interesting announcements in the next, what do you think, 7 to 10 days, Sean?
Hopefully, yes.
Good, good. Well, listen, Sean, I really appreciate you coming on, and thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing. We are really, really excited, and these baby steps on the BitShares transactions. That's fantastic. So today, just let me make sure I heard this again. So today, you've got almost a automation technology now, that you tested today. Did I get that wrong? Because
That's right. Today we did our first programmatic exchange, and so all we have to do is just make it prettier and put it in a package that people can understand how to use.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, Sean, once again, thank you so much for your coming on to the briefing. You may want to listen in because I do a drawing, because now we used to do more cloud coins, but they keep on getting higher in price, so I had to cut it in half. So we're doing a drawing for 5,000 cloud coins today. That number is going to be dropping again in the next few weeks. Just because what's happening, fair warning. So I want to go ahead and put up random.org, and we're going to go ahead and do our drawing. We have a ton of people here in the building, as they'd say. And I've got to go ahead and I didn't do it right. I might screw up sometimes. Sean, you'll have to laugh at me a little bit. But here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. Okay, number 166, whoever was the 166th person to enter on the live feed here, you have won 5,000 cloud coins. That's an awful lot, Sean. I think I got to cut that in half again soon, don't I?
I think so.
I think so. Okay. Well, listen, once again, I appreciate everybody being on this briefing. Remember, if you want to be included in the information that I'm putting together on the NewCo, you're going to learn, what exactly we're doing. You need to email me at bob@digitalcurrencygrowth.com and use NewCo. That's NEWCO, NewCo in the subject line. Thank you very much for attending. Thanks a lot, Sean.
Thank you.
You got it.